Hi everyone, I am Nicole Gonzalez Vilos, the editor-in-chief at The Runner, and this is what you can expect from our latest issue.
This feature article was written by Kyler Emerson. About 70% of BC's energy demand is met through natural gas and refined petroleum products like gasoline and diesel. The industrial sector in BC has the highest demand for energy, accounting for about 47% of the demand, followed by transportation at 28%. Kyler spoke to Bruce Ralston, the BC Minister of Energy, Mines and Low Carbon Innovation, to explain BC's hydrogen strategy. There are 3 ways to produce hydrogen, but the most desirable method, called electrolysis, is using renewable sources like hydro or water power to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. Our electricity in BC is 98% clean or renewable, and while plans to electrify the province's energy supply are underway, it's not a practical option for the heavy-duty transportation or high-grade industrial heating sectors that depend on fossil fuels. Part of the provincial government's long-term strategy for zero-emission transportation and industrialization is to develop a hydrogen fuel network. The provincial government is supporting trials to explore options to incorporate hydrogen into the gas pipeline network. Ralston said at this point about 10 to 15% hydrogen can be injected into existing pipelines, but existing pipelines are not compatible with more than 15% hydrogen before it changes the metallurgy of pipeline components, so a new pipeline system might need to be installed or the existing ones replaced entirely. Matthew Kleipenstein, branch manager of Hydrogen BC, said the future hydrogen network across Canada and North America would likely look similar to the current natural gas network. Colin Armstrong, President and CEO of HTEC, said there are currently 4 hydrogen fuel pumps in BC, and the next will open next year in Kelowna.
One of the articles I worked on for this issue is an article on the new Indigenous focused coursework that is being implemented in British Columbia's high school graduation requirements. So starting in the 2023/2024 school year, high school students in British Columbia will be expected to complete an Indigenous focused coursework as part of their 80-credit high school requirement. The provincial government announced this requirement as part of their work in Indigenous-specific anti-racism and discrimination strategy. So students will now be required to complete 4 credits worth of Indigenous-focused coursework. They can pick out of the 10 courses under the provincial courses and 18 under the First Nation language courses. So the BC Ministry of Education worked in partnership with the First Nation Education Steering Committee to implement the new requirements for graduation, and Mary Molyneux, who is the First Nation Education Steering Committee K-12 Policy Manager, says this requirement has been advocated for years, and Mary also says these courses are important for students, and she hopes when they take it, they get a better understanding of where they live, as well as acknowledging the First Peoples who have lived there before.
Since the summer semester in 2021, KPU Sport and Recreation has hosted esports video game events for students, staff, and faculty of the university to participate in, sometimes even having prizes out and given to the best of the best. Among the games that have been played, these include Rocket League, Fortnite, and FIFA. In this article, I talked with Orion Ng, the program's coordinator over there, to talk about various topics, such as how esports at KPU started, how they choose what games to host, and some of their future plans. If you want to email any suggestions for games you would like to see in the future, send them to sportrec@kpu.ca.
This opinion article was written by Alexander Shonin. TELUS recently launched a controversial healthcare app named Babylon, used to connect patients with family doctors and obtain prescriptions from the comfort of their home. Alexander explains that the app may succeed as people are more likely to do activities remotely following the pandemic, but can lead to some challenges as this healthcare system is owned by a private business. Critics worry that increasingly allowing private businesses to run healthcare services will divide it into 2 tiers, one that prioritizes those who pay premiums for access to extended healthcare programs, and one that neglects to serve those who cannot afford to pay any premiums at all. Overall, Alexander argues that the best healthcare system should be a combination of privatized and nationalized systems to keep both parties in check and ensure optimal balance. To read the full article, head to our website at runnermag.ca.
In the recent column I wrote, I talked to hip-hop artist Zach Tovin, who released his new single Mess last month, which reflects on mental health and society. Also known as Zach Ludwig, he is a political science student at KPU and wrote Mess to express his frustration with dealing with anxiety, depression, and the struggle to leave his house due to how overwhelming the world can be, especially during the pandemic. The song expresses what can happen around these feelings in response to the physical mess that accumulates in his life, like dishes piling up or dust collecting on the shelf. Tovin wrote the song in only 3 hours while he was sitting in his minivan parked on a road in the middle of nowhere. He also created a music video to accompany the release of the single and shares where he got his inspiration from in terms of the style. He shares how he began creating music, what he hopes people will take away from the song, his new single coming out next month, and his debut album Doubt coming out later this year.